From the energy business to a hot, healthy fruit biz, there's a little talked about government office ready to possibly help. Real life example, during a surfing trip to Brazil 20 years ago, two friends saw the potential for a business bringing the acai berry, that berry on your screen, which is now big in smoothies and acai bowls here in the U.S., to come here to America. Unfortunately, they were unable to get a loan due to the remote location of where they wanted to set up their processing facilities. So they found that they could turn to the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, which is a self-sustaining government agency that helps businesses invest in emerging markets. The two guys built their facility, repaid their loan, and are now running a profitable company. So do you think you have a great business investment in an emerging market? OPIC, as it's known, can help. Not OPEC, OPIC. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is the CEO and President, Ray Washburne of OPEC. And I need to have you just explain right away. Many people, including myself, I've never heard of this office. What do you guys do, and explain to our viewers?
Sure. Well, OPIC was started in 1971 to go to emerging markets and help American businesses get financing where it wasn't available locally to go and develop their businesses, just like the story you just said.
How is that different from the SBA, Small Business Loans?
Well, we go in emerging markets. SBA is domestically focused. We're internationally focused, and we do business in 130 countries around the world. We have about 800 projects. We manage a portfolio of around $29 billion that is low-interest loans with long terms on them for everything from infrastructure, the berry company you mentioned. We do power plants, we do railroads, we do airports, all types of projects.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And we were coming into this segment before the break mentioning that the president's very concerned that he says he's very concerned that Germany will become dependent on Russian gas because this pipeline is the best thing going in the region. Not to mention that we've seen the Russians weaponize gas during cold winter against the Ukrainians. So wouldn't it make sense for the United States to get in there and do something? Talk about the nuclear plant that you helped with a loan to go into that region, correct?
Well, actually what it was is there's a nuclear plant in the Ukraine that had spent nuclear fuel rods. And they were paying Russia $50 million a year to take them. And there's a big dependency in the Ukraine on Russia. And so we finance a company actually out of New Jersey that builds nuclear casings for nuclear fuel rods to plant them at Chernobyl. And so we went and did that, got them off Russian dependence on that. And in addition, in Ukraine, we have over $1 billion actually in loans and all types of projects.
It makes me wonder, how do you judge who can be a candidate? I've got viewers right now who are probably thinking, let me get this guy on the phone.
Sure.
What are your parameters and what are the terms of the loans?
Well, the parameters are, as I said, we're open in 130 different countries, and we do everything from small business lending in Costa Rica up to very large $500 million power plants. And so
to U.S. companies wanting to do business in those countries.
Yeah, so it's called a U.S. Nexus. We have around 25% U.S. commitment to it. There's the BUILD Act, which is a new piece of legislation that is going to be voted on tomorrow in Congress that's actually going to take OPIC and strengthen us so we can actually be an equity participant in the projects and not only a lender.
I can hear the libertarians screaming, the government's picking winners. You know, the Obama administration, you, of course, were put in place by President Trump, but the Obama administration got all kinds of grief for floating money in loans to certain green companies that ended up failing. How do you ensure, can you ensure that these businesses won't fail? Because this is a taxpayer's dollar in the end.
Well, first of all, we finance deals that are unable to get financed elsewhere. There's a tremendous amount of equity that goes into these projects. And so the ones that we look at, we're really a tool of foreign policy for the United States. So, for example, in Central America, which has an extremely high unemployment rate, we're down there trying to create businesses that create jobs that keep people stable. And if they're stable and the communities are stable, then that creates stable communities and governments.
Can you give us an example of a company, you don't have to give the name if you don't want to, but that is the most exciting for you guys right now, and which country it's going in that you're helping?
Well, I was recently in Africa. I traveled to 7 countries, and everywhere, Botswana, Rwanda, Uganda, all over. The exciting thing for me was seeing projects on the ground, like water projects that are able to go to communities and bring clean water. And you think, well, how is clean water? We do it on a profit-making venture because OPIC last year made $270 million in profit for the United States government.
Wow.
And so by doing that, that helps bring health, safety, companies into communities. So water is a very exciting aspect for us.
China is giving money all the time to its companies to give them a leg up.
Right.
I'm glad to hear we're doing this too.
Yes. Well, the Chinese are doing what we call loan-to-own programs. They're going in and loaning on infrastructure projects that don't make any kind of economic sense whatsoever. And as additional collateral, they take rare earths like lithium or copper mines and things like that. So when they're not able to pay the loans back in these countries, like Sri Lanka was recently featured on the front page of the New York Times, a massive multi-billion-dollar project, they couldn't pay it back. The Chinese took it. They gave them a key logistics port in the Indian Ocean.
Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC. Ray Washburne's the guy. I'm not going to put out his telephone number, but
right.
You guys, they can find you online, I'm sure, on the government website.
OPIC.gov.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.